Hello everybody, thank you for joining us. Today we'll be doing an exciting exercise in sketching out the ever popular He-Man. So if you have your pencils all set, we're going to draw, and I was thinking that we will do a sort of a perspective pose, but one in which he is highlighting his sword. So I'm just trying to get a sword going first, so it'll be somewhat like right across there, so the blade perhaps to that side and on that angle, because we're using perspective again. So that is our sword. The reason why I'm doing this is because the sword is at the foreground, in this case. Handle somewhere around here. Looks like a pencil right now, but I assure you that we will make this into a sword fairly quickly. But now the idea is that we are trying to make this into a quick sketch. Now he's not supposed to be handling the sword here, but I do know that in one of his very popular and iconic poses, he is handling it in the sense that he has a hand here somewhere, because he is just using that macho rush to transform. So what we're going to do is, we got the sort of a sword going, so we have to focus that the hand right there, and the other hand will be right there, and we have to now go backward. So perspective is what we'll use for foreshortening. So you could also go with the coil technique, but first like determine a line like that going back toward the shoulders, so some foreshortening right there. So forearm, bicep, and shoulder, and then the arc to represent the shoulder. So that arm will most definitely not go in the direction that I had thought, not all the way in. So the shoulder is to be here somewhere, and again some foreshortening used right there. So line and then circles to determine that. So the direction in which we'll be laying out the arm. So the chest somewhere around there, center point, and the torso ending somewhere there. So we'll see how this works out. It's an unusual pose, and I just wanted to, I just had it in my mind that I should try this. And for his head, I'm going to come and put down a head like that. Don't want to make it that massive, because his muscles take precedence when it comes to being a massive figure. So we have to highlight those no matter what. And I am going, just putting a frame down like that. So now the rest of the exercise will be with, I'm going to use a pen here, but I would recommend, especially for somebody who's trying this pose out for the first time, to keep going with a pencil. It's actually more fun. I'm just using a pen. It might just come off as a little more easier to see on screen. And there is one hand and thumb grasping the sword, the handle ending right there. I do not know what kind of so let's just stylize a little bit, give him that type of sword. Looks like the bottom of an axe, but I think it could actually, it'll work. We will just leave it at that. There is his manly forearm gauntlets right there. So one of them in any case. A little bit showing right there. So in some versions he's also had just what you could say sort of tape or bandages, but we are going to go with this more standard version. So there's the forearm muscle structure coming into place, foreshortened of course, and then there is the massive tricep, bicep right there, and there is the shoulder. So one of the hefty delts in any case. And then of course we would have the delts going into the pectorals. It's more pleasing that way, but right here we'll have the center of his harness. I would not call it armor, because armor is, more realistic when it protects the body. So what we will do is use I think that's one of the formats of his sword that were used in, I do not know which exact media, but so somewhat around that you could actually play around with the sword, which is why he's also one of those fun characters that has had variations in terms of costume. And so what we will do is same exercise here, not too different, except of course the hand itself is placed at a different angle. So the thumb is going to be alright. So we have some, it doesn't make sense to hold the blade there, but I do know that that is one of his, let's say, transformation war cries. So he holds it up and then he brings it into the right hand and just holds it up to signify that now he's the most powerful man in the universe. So very macho, and still has its appeal to all-time fans. But of course He-Man has had he's had a few reboots since then, in both in printed and in other media. So there was a 2000 relaunch. People love those, like the reimagined designs. But then in comic books he has been now collaborating with other mainstream characters like Superman and other characters as well. So there is the bicep laid out, and everything is nice, everything is like massive. So just like a barbarian, like a very civil and very polite barbarian should be. That actually sounds funny, but so he is a polite, definitely a polite barbarian. He is a prince, and I think in the cause of princely duties, he maintains a sort of a status quo as a reasonable, mild-mannered barbarian. So there we have his primary frame, and then of course I will just work my way into putting down that harness Part of it, of course, will not be visible. It's behind his other apparatus. And okay, so then let's, so if there are some serratus muscles here, let's put his insignia down. Still don't know what that means. Some kids used to say that it is an H, but it's not really an H. Maybe it is. Maybe it is, and I'm perhaps being more skeptical. And we give him those pecs, and then of course we work our way into the head. So I did not determine the there, so there we have the brow, the small flat, more or less barbarian nose, and the very, very generic compressed mouth. Actually going to use that sort of a direction, and so I'm going to change that direction there, go like that, even though I had initially decided something else, but that's okay. It is a sketch for that reason, that we are trying out different things here as we go along. And I think I'm going to hefty up the chin a little bit. He's buried into the, his head is buried into the collarbone. There's the pec coming down, so there we have it. I'm just going to line up the tails right there. So he doesn't really have flowing hair, but here just sort of along those lines. Giving him some eyebrows there. And the harness has these decorative elements on it, and that is it. So we have a He-Man, and that's one version. Yes, big muscles, polite barbarian, but a little bit angry because he has to transform and go to war. So what I'm going to do is just round up with some inks, quick inks and details. It's a quick sketch, so everything will be quick. And you could of course try your own versions, your own features, armor. A very fun character, very fun series, Masters of the Universe. If you haven't checked it out, please do, and you will be glad, and you would thank me later if you haven't checked it out before and you heard it here first, for the first time. So thank you for watching, and I'll just round this up with some tones and inks and quick fills.